June 28th will, of course, be UFC 317 as Topuria is looking to join a small list of fighters to hold a belt in two different divisions. And Charles Oliveira is looking to become the lightweight champion once again. Now, of course, in the co-main event, Alexandre Pantoja is looking to put a fourth title defense in his resume against the explosive Kai Kara-France. Now, of course, the undercard is pretty good, actually. You have Brandon Royval taking on Joshua Van, where Brandon Royval is actually, in fact, the underdog. Free money? Yes, please. Give me Royval by second round stoppage victory. And, of course, you have Beneil Dariush versus easy money Renato Moicano. I gave Moicano by third round stoppage. Why not? Seems very fitting submission. But anyways, we're only going to be talking about the co-main and main event. Speaking of the co-main, don't blink. Kai Kara-France is 25-11, 12 wins by way of knockout, 3 submissions, and 10 decisions. And of course, they always talk about how explosive he is and how strong he is. He has a 48% knockout ratio. Bruh. Yeah, that's not really that explosive, right? But besides that, he has 11 losses, 3 by knockout, 3 by submission, and 5 decisions. So overall, a well-rounded fighter, to say the least, right? He's coming off of very actually interesting losses. Of course, he's only lost to the best, that being the former flyweight world champion, Brandon Moreno. The number 1 contender, Brandon Royval, once again lost to Moreno and lost to Amir Albazi. Split decision. Pretty sure that's the one where everyone thought Kai Kara-France won. He was robbed, but he is getting a title opportunity before Albazi, so it looked like everything turned out well. But of course, he is coming off of the first round knockout victory against Steve Astro Boy Erceg. Very interesting. Obviously, Kai Kara-France is known as very much loves his heritage. Obviously, always does these dances in the ring. But will it help him? Probably not, but it is cool to look at. Besides that, the flyweight world champion Alexandre the Cannibal Pantoja is 29-5, 8 wins by way of knockout, 11 submission wins, and 10 decisions. So overall, a well-rounded fighter. 5 losses, all by decision. So he has not been stopped once in his professional career. Now, of course, people are like, oh, Kai Kara-France is going to be the one. Dude has a 48% knockout ratio. I don't think he's going to knock out one of the toughest chins in the division. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But besides that, he is coming off of the second round submission win against Kai Asakura. Pretty dominant win. Took a basically, people say, oh, it actually wasn't the knee, it was the thigh. You take a thigh to the face, it's probably not going to feel that good. And he just ate it. So obviously his chin, very nice. Of course, he's also beaten the best of the best in the division. That being obviously Astro Boy Steve Erceg. And now, of course, that was a very close competitive fight where people thought Erceg should have got the win. Unfortunately for him, I don't say he fumbled the bag. I think Pantoja used his experience to win the last round. But he's also beaten the former flyweight champion, Brandon Moreno, and the number 1 contender, Brandon Royval. He's not only beaten Royval twice, he also beaten Moreno twice himself. His only losses are, of course, notable ones, that being the Askar Askarov and the former flyweight world champion, Davison Figueiredo. So obviously, not only has he beaten the best, he's only lost to the best, that being Davison Figueiredo. Anyway, so the way on paper, it seems like a pretty easy fight for Pantoja, because Pantoja has beaten the best of the division, while Kai Kara-France has only lost to the best of the best. So obviously, in terms of resume, Pantoja beats him. In terms of grappling, Pantoja beats him. In terms of striking, obviously Kai Kara-France has the advantage. But so did literally a lot of people in terms of the striking department. Brandon Moreno had the better striking. Royval had the better striking. Erceg technically had the better striking. Asakura had the better striking. Manel Cape literally has the better striking. Yet none of them have been able to win against him. Why? Because his experience, his IQ, has always managed to bring the fight to the floor. And this is the same thing's going to happen again. People are thinking, oh, Kai Kara-France is going to be the one to win it. He's not. Kai Kara-France is a great fighter, one of the best in the division. But he's fighting basically, at this point, he's making a very good argument to being the GOAT of the division. So, yeah, once again, if he loses to Pantoja, that's not anything bad. But Kai Kara-France has lost to these people before, and is going to lose again. Give me Pantoja by 4th round submission win. Kai Kara-France has, I guess you could say, the one-shot knockout power, even though he doesn't really say it in his resume. But Pantoja is better grappling. The striking, he always manages to be there with the best striker. So obviously he's not going to beat him in the striking department that much. And of course, the main thing that being he can submit him. That's it. He can submit him. Kai France, not so much. Pantoja has like multiple ways of beating him. Either beating him in a war of attrition or just straight up submitting him. People like Kai France, but he's going to lose. But anyways, the main event of the evening. Topuria versus Dubronx Oliveira. Very explosive fight. Both of them have some of the highest stoppage rates in not only their divisions, but in the UFC in general. So this will make an explosive fight. 99% sure it's not going to the scorecards. But let's talk about it. The former lightweight champ Charles Dubronx Oliveira is 35-10. 10 wins by way of knockout, 21 wins by way of submission, and only 4 decisions. Unfortunately, his losses are kind of the same. 4 by knockout, 4 by submission, and 2 by decision. So obviously, he hasn't gotten the decision a lot. Unfortunately for him, it also counts in his losses. Of course, as the lightweight world champion, he's beaten some of the best people in the division, obviously being Tony Ferguson, the former interim champion, Michael Chandler, who's always been up there around the elite level of competition, Justin Gaethje, and Dustin Poirier, submitting them both in very good fights. Beneil Dariush and Michael Chandler once again. Of course, Oliveira, on paper, seems to have the better resume, but we'll talk about that later. And his latest losses have only been to the number 1 contender, Arman Tsarukyan, and the now it's former, he vacated the title, but Islam Makhachev. So obviously he has beaten some of the best in the division, and he's only lost to, the best in the division. So obviously, it seems good, but he's no longer champion, and he has lost before. So obviously, in terms of momentum, it goes Topuria's way. Speaking of Topuria, El Matador, Ilia Topuria, is 16-0. One of the few undefeated fighters left in the UFC, not to mention he was champion, also undefeated. If he becomes a double champ while undefeated, that's history. Besides that, he has 6 wins by way of knockout, 8 submission, and only 2 decisions. That's right, he only has an 88% stoppage rate. That is impressive. Of course, Ilia Topuria's resume is not that far off from Oliveira's. Obviously, he has beaten people like Jai Herbert in his lightweight debut. He knocked him out in 1 punch. He was hurt in that fight, but that was to a straight-up leg kick to the face. No offense, but I don't think anyone really just eats that unless you're Romero, right? But besides that, he also beat Bryce Mitchell, submitting him in the second round. Josh Emmett in I think it was a 50-40 something, but it was it only ever happened one time in history, right, where that type of scorecard ever appeared. Beat him basically pure domination all around, right? He then knocked out the featherweight world champion Alexander Volkanovski, some consider the featherweight GOAT. That's not it. That's not all. He fought Max Holloway, who is seen as at least number 2 or number 3 in terms of the featherweight ranking of all time. He knocked him out in the 3rd round. That's right. He was the first one to ever knock out Max Holloway, a.k.a. the Granite Unbreakable Chin. He broke him in 3 rounds. So yeah, Topuria has that type of power. And if the horror stories in training camp is true, he's knocking people out in sparring gloves. Bigger than him too. Not to mention, dude, these people talk to him like he's a boogeyman. They're talking about, oh yeah, this man came into my camp and he just out-wrestled all my guys. He knocked them all out too. It's like, damn, what the hell's he doing? He's a killer. Literally. He has a lot of confidence, but it makes sense. You just stroll up, defeat the best featherweights in the world, and then leave for double champ status. That's crazy. But besides that, yeah, the way it's going to go is simple. Topuria, although very much good, he did kind of gas out in some of his fights, right? And what were those fights? The one where he grappled a lot. He does have more submissions than KOs, but I assume after realizing how tired he gets from wrestling, he just chose to just start knocking people out. But if Oliveira manages to force Topuria to wrestle a lot more, which obviously Oliveira is one of the best offensive wrestlers in the game, being able to submit, I think he's a defensive wrestler, right? But he can submit a ton of people. He has power himself. So if he manages to force Topuria into a grappling fight, Oliveira is going to submit Topuria in round 3. I'm going to be real with you. But if Topuria manages to stuff Oliveira's grappling attempts, Topuria is going to knock him on the 2nd round. I'm sorry. Topuria is too good in terms of striking for something like Oliveira. Oliveira has been dropped by a ton of people. He dropped by Poirier, Gaethje, Makhachev, all these other people. He's been dropped. His chin, obviously, he hasn't been knocked out cold, right? But his chin, that's what they said about Max Holloway, too. Oh, he's never been hurt. He got hurt and then got stopped. I'm sorry to say this, but give me Ilia Topuria by 2nd round stoppage victory. If Oliveira manages to get into a grappling fight with Topuria, he will win that one. No matter all these horror stories about how Topuria just straight up bullied everyone in the gym, it's not going to happen. Topuria will get tired, especially in this new weight. Wrestling a lot, he's going to get tired. Oliveira has been in this weight since forever. He's been grappling with the best of them. If he manages to get that fight from him, he's going to win. But if Topuria manages to keep it up, he's going to knock him out quickly. It's not even going to be a close fight. I'm sorry. Topuria can grapple with the best of them, although maybe not for that long. But he could strike with the best of them. And Oliveira is not the best of them. I think Topuria finds a hole in Oliveira's striking defense before Oliveira really gets his back. But I basically said it like 5 times at this point. Give me Ilia Topuria knocking out Charles Oliveira in the second round. I don't think it's going to be close at all. But anyways, who do you guys have winning these fights? Of course, I have Alexandre Pantoja submitting Kai Kara France and Ilia Topuria stopping Charles Oliveira. Most people don't want to see Charles Oliveira lose, especially since he's going on all these legends. He's knocking out Volkanovski. Everyone loves Volkanovski. Knocking out Holloway. Everyone loves Holloway. If he knocks out Oliveira, they're going to hate him. But you can't even hate him. He's respectful for the most part, and he's very entertaining. So it's kind of hard to hate him, right? But besides that, who do you guys have winning these fights? Leave it down in the comments below, and I love to hear it, and I hope to catch you in the next one.